Hey everybody, it's Alison Heikkila. Thanks so much for joining me today. So I've been doing Monoprint Mondays for I think about 5 weeks now, and I'm having a really good time with them, and I hope that you have been enjoying watching them. So I figured that I should show you how to make a card with these finished prints, especially because they're kind of an odd size. When I trim it down, I know I'm off camera at the moment, it comes out to 3 by 5, and it's kind of an awkward size. I do use them on regular A2 size cards sometimes, but today I figured that we would do a 5 by 7 card. So I have an Ivory card base. This is just Recollections cardstock from Michaels, and then I decided that I would pull this masterboard that I had made for the February card Hoppin Hop. I had made this with bleach and some stamps from Hutson, and you can check out that video. I'll be sure to link it below, as well as the short from earlier this week that shows how I made this print. So I don't know about you, but I find that I accumulate a ton of monoprints when I, sit down and play with my gel press plate, and then I have a ton of backgrounds, and whether it's, done with a technique like this or just doing some ink smushing, I wind up with a lot of them. So I thought it would be fun to kind of play around and make a card with a couple of these things. So I'm going to just trim this piece down to, let's see, the card is 5 by 7, so I'm going to do 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. Okay, hey, that's pretty close. I'm going to just trim that with my scissor. Okay, so we have this here, which is going to look really nice. And then we've got this here, but those patterns are kind of too much next to each other. Now, if you look at the print, there are some bits of teal in here. So I figured that I would pull out some teal cardstock, and that would break it up a little bit. And it kind of hints at similar shapes and such. You've got the bubble wrap here, and that kind of mimics these circles. You've got these blobs here of goodness, and that kind of mimics this shape here. So I think it really works together. We just need to break it up. So I'm going to take my little decal trimmer here, and we're going to use this to kind of figure out how big we want it. This is basil cardstock. I don't know what color though, but it's a really pretty teal. So it has a texture on this side, so I'm going to make sure that I use the textured side. I'm going to wind up having some excess, but I will save that for another time. Looks good. Okay, and then we'll trim the other side. And I just eyeball it. I'm okay with that. I don't need exact measurements for it. If I find that it's a little too much or whatever, then I'll just fix it. But I think that looks pretty good. For the monoprint, I used the decal trimmer. So you can see it has that rough edge. But for this, I wanted to keep it clean. I'm digging this. Digging it. Okay, so let's adhere these layers together, because this was just done on copy paper, a nice quality copy paper, but copy paper nonetheless, so it does tend to curl. So because I used acrylic paint on this monoprint, so I am just going to attach it to my teal cardstock here so that it lays nice and flat. I really like how this print came out. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but it did, and I like it. Okay, so now we have this here, and I'm feeling that I need to have a sentiment like right here. I think that that's going to work. So I'm going to take a look at my sentiments and see what I come up with. All right, I have this fabulous thank you die from Simon Says Stamp and CZ Design, and those are the dies. So I off screen decided to cut them out of some orange cardstock and the same ivory cardstock that I used for the base. So I'm liking this, but that ivory is a little too harsh at the moment for me. So I decided that we're going to take a little bit of Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide and just kind of chill it out a little bit, just around the edges. It matches really nicely with that teal cardstock from Basil that I used for the mat. And I'm just going to kind of go around the edges a bit. Just blend it and leave some of the ivory showing. I might actually throw a little bit of splatter on here too, because I enjoy a good splatter. And then things will start to oxidize. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is grab some sheer shimmer spritz and kind of splatter some of that on. Let's see what we got here. Let's use, oh, you know what would be fun? The copper, maybe. I was going to go for the gold, but I haven't really used the copper much, so let's play with the copper. So this is sheer shimmer spritz from Imagine. And if you haven't played with any of these, they're fantastic. And they just came out with large bottles. I think they're 8 ounces. They're huge. So there's gold, there's copper, there's silver, rose gold, sparkle, and frost. I tend to use the sparkle and frost the most. I just recently acquired this copper. The gold is really pretty. They're all really nice. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. A little bit more maybe. I have to be honest, I hardly ever, I think I've mentioned this before, I hardly ever actually spray them. I usually just flick the straw. Let's see how that looks. You see how shiny that is? That's so pretty. Okay, let me clean this up. We have Oxide here, we have the spritz here, so that's got to get all cleaned up. And then we can see how we like it with the rest of this. I like that better. Yep, that's going to work for me. So let's start gluing. Or let's continue to glue since we already glued this layer before. So I'm going to get this piece down. This way this splatter has a little bit of time to dry before I start playing with it. Okay. So let me know in the comments if you would like to see me use more of the monoprints that I've been doing for my Monoprint Mondays, because I really want to use them, and I'd love to show you how I use them if you want to see that. So let me know in the comments. All right, let's glue this down. Like I said, the size that I've been working with is a little awkward at first, but then when you look at it as more of a mixed media card, you have the freedom to be a little bit more kind of artsy with it. Not everything has to be perfect squares or circles or any of that. You can kind of play around with it, with the design and what have you, and things can be a little bit not quite so perfect. Does that make sense? I hope so. So I actually don't mind having these kind of weird sized rectangles on these big cards. I think it looks nice. It's different. Sometimes I get tired of working in A2, and a lot of times I don't want to use perfect squares or circles or anything. And I like doing things a little bit more artsy and mixed media. My favorite kind of card is to make them mixed media. So that's what we have here. We have bleach on that bottom layer, lots of acrylic paint, some regular ink. How are we liking this? I think this is cool. That's pretty fun. All right, let's get the rest of this down. Not much to do on this card because we already had these fun background pieces done. It's just a matter of figuring out how you want to put them together. So when I was looking at the monoprint, I realized that this bleached masterboard had, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the similar shapes. They kind of worked well together. And this is a neutral, so that worked well automatically. And the patterns, although the sizes are similar as far as what's on them, because this is a tonal thing, whereas this has lots of color, it doesn't really fight it. But to break it up further, we had that piece of teal cardstock added there. Check that out. See, it's a really quick card to make. Just using stuff that you already have on hand. And you can do this if you don't do monoprinting or bleach stamping or whatever. If you have pattern paper, you can do similar things with your pattern paper. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that you have a fantastic day. I will be back very soon with another video. Be well, stay safe, peace out.